Hey, welcome to Mind Your Own Biz, the podcast where we help small business owners with big dreams build something authentically you. I'm Alicia Yervis, educator, marketer, designer, nacho enthusiast, and your big sister in business. I'm excited for us to have this cozy spot to chat. Each episode, we'll tackle candid conversations, actionable tips, and a few fun tangents to help you run your business your way. Because business is always personal, no matter what anyone says. So grab your iced coffee or those nachos and let's get started. Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Mind Your Own Biz. My name's Alicia Yervis, and I'm your host. I am really excited about today's guest. I've wanted her to be on this show for a long time. I have been a fangirl of this human being for several years now. And if you are local to the Jersey Shore, particularly our area of Asbury Park, you may already know her. If you don't, you're about to. So today's guest is Dani Boglivi-Fiori of Sweet Dani B. And when I tell you, her cookies are not just cookies, they are art, like full on edible masterpieces. I've been to her shop, even went just a couple days ago to get some St. Patrick's Day cookies and some Oscar ceremony cookies. And so, yeah, I've had the cookies, and yes, they are in fact life-changing. And not to mention, they're just awesome and fun looking and beautiful. If you've been following her on Instagram at Sweet Dani B, you know what I'm talking about. They're amazing pieces of art. And this is something that I love so much. Dani is one of those people who she's just completely one with her brand. Like you see her work, you see her creations, you see her social media content. You step into her world and it's just so clearly her. There's like no separation. It's personality, it's creativity, it's joy, it's all baked right in. And so you know that I love that. If you're a listener of this podcast, I'm all about how to be more of yourself in business, bring more of your authentic personality, your passions, your spirit into your business and your marketing. So if you're listening to what I'm saying about Dani, and what you'll hear throughout this episode, and you're like, well, I want that. I want my business to feel more like me. I have something free for you. I have a guide. It's a free guide. It's called OMG, It's So Me. And it's designed to help you actually figure out what makes you you and start using that in your brand and your content, your business, all of it. So I'm going to link that in the show notes, or you can grab it right now at aliciayervis.com/OMG. That's ALYCIAYERVES.com/OMG. Because I find that when you lean into that, when you lean into who you truly are and you make your content and your marketing and your messaging all kind of tied into that, that's when your people find you, those kindred spirit clients that you're excited to work with. So make sure you get that guide. It's going to help you. And Dani is just such a beautiful example of that, not just in the artistry of what she does and what she makes. And we're going to talk about all of that, but like in the feeling that it creates. And also how she shows up for her business. Like she's fully in the joy business. Like there's no way someone sees or receives one of her awesome cookie creations and doesn't immediately smile. And I can only imagine how much that must light her up as the person creating it. So, okay. Before we bring her in, I'm going to read her official bio so you have the full picture of who she is and what she does, and then I'll welcome her in. Celebrity cookie artist and Emmy Award-winning set and prop stylist Dani Boglivi-Fiori spent several seasons working on the Martha Stewart Show as a prop and set stylist, while appearing in segments as the show's resident cookie expert, before pursuing her dream of owning her own couture, cookie, and event design business. As Sweet Dani B, she spreads the love with her incredible edible cookie art, step-by-step cookie decorating classes, and super fun and whimsical cookie parties. In the cookie business since 2006, so she's celebrating her 20-year anniversary right now, she's taught thousands how to decorate cookies and have so much fun doing it. On social media, she inspires people to spread the love, sharing her love for great food, recipes, restaurants, furry friends, friendly community, and welcoming everybody to join in the fun. The base theme for all of her life's work is her company's motto, Life is sweet, spread the love. Native Jersey girl, dedicated foodie, and determined love spreader, Dani lives with her husband, Keith Fiori, and rescued Jackawawa, which was a new word for me. I had not heard of that, a Jackawawa, whose name is Rocky Balboa Fiori in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. So I am so, so thrilled to have Dani with me today. So let's bring her in. Hi, my friend. I'm so excited to have you here in the podcast studio. You are joining us from your cookie studio today, I see. I can tell from your background. How you
Yes.
doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so, so happy to have you on here. I was just fangirling about you in the intro because I've been
Oh,
I've been following you for years. You're local to me.
sweet.
I live right up the road.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, just from an artistic perspective to begin with, like your Instagram content caught my eye right away with your amazing cookie art. You're so, so good. These are not your typical decorated cookies or, cookies from the supermarket or anything like that. These are like literal works of art and you just bring joy to my Instagram feed. So first, let's just start with that. I want to say thank you
Thank
for the
you. That's so
the,
sweet. It's
the
very sweet
pops
to
of
say,
joy.
especially these days, because Instagram's getting harder and harder
Oh, I
to
know.
post to and work with. It's so news
Mhm.
heavy now. It's really hard to like watch a news clip and then be like, "Hey, look at this cookie I just made," and it's like,
I
death and
know.
destruction, and versus that. So that's a really hard thing to toggle. So
Yes, and I was gonna get into that later in the episode, but since
yeah,
you brought it up, I'm curious, how do you mentally switch back and forth like that? Because of what's going on, and I know you have important causes that you care about.
yes,
You share a lot about your beliefs and your values and everything in what the like you're an activist as well as an artist and all of
yeah.
that. So how do you switch back and forth when there is so much like, oh my God, like I don't even want to look at my phone. And then you're
Yeah.
like, but I have to market my business. Like,
It's really hard. I mean, like the way I've been navigating lately is if it's just like so over the top, like what like just happened, then I just like go away for a while. So, I mean,
mm,
I used to be like pretty regularly posting every day, every other day at a minimum, but now like sometimes you won't see me for like 3 days. I'll still do stories and share things, but as far as like grid posts, I sometimes I just have to get away from it and just put the phone
hmm
down. And I think that that's sort of a theme that a lot of people are doing, with screen time anyway, but really just when a war starts, like it's just really hard to be like, yeah, come into the shop and buy a sweatshirt. Like I just feel like a
hmm
total jerk doing that.
hmm
And I've had a lot of people respond to those posts where they said, well, we're coming to you for joy and we appreciate it, which I so appreciate. So I do it when I can, but there are just some times where I just have to like jump off and like take a minute, take a day. It's just
hmm
highly recommended because you really just don't know what you're going to open up into. So
hmm
there's a lot of
hmm
chaos. So
Yes, yes. And I mean, it's such a recurring theme that I hear from other business owners too, of like, and I've talked about it on here before too, of like, the world is on fire, but hey, do you need a website? Hey, do you need a sweatshirt? You need cookies? You need catering? You need, you
yeah.
need a haircut,
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, I just try like it's so hard, but I've been trying for myself lately to remember like two things can be true at the same time, and
Absolutely.
like, okay, this is happening, that's true, and we want to acknowledge it and talk about it. And at the same time, like what you're just saying, there are still people who need what you do and what only you
Mhm.
can do,
Right.
and like there's still people who need your voice, your services, your cookies, all of that kind of stuff. So it's hard. It's a really
It
hard
is. It is.
balance.
I mean, the thing is too, I think that with all the chaos, it is such a hard time for small businesses. It's a
Hmm
really hard time for restaurants and food as well. We're going through it. I am not a full restaurant. Obviously, like I'm kind of a hybrid, but I do fall into that category. So
Mm-hmm.
literally every time I go to the food store, it's a new cost, it's a new this, it's a new that. And so at the same time that I'm thinking about like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't post today because like the world is on fire, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a small business and I have to keep it going. So that's really so much what it's
Yeah.
about. And in this chaos, I think it's something that, I think everybody is aware of that. I think people are rooting for small businesses. I definitely feel it. So that's also something that, keeps me posting and keeps me just kind of spreading love and doing what I could do because I root for all the small businesses. I am, small business first. I share as many as I can. If I love a place, I go there and post about it. And, that is also another way to like kind of think about it. You got to keep sharing, you got to keep your community going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not always so easy.
Yeah. And I love what you just said too, because I also believe in community over competition and like,
Yeah,
having there's room for everybody. Like I love that. I love that that's important to you too.
it
Um,
is.
and so kind of going back to your artistry and your the creative life that you live. I feel like with creative folks, especially with artists, like there's usually some thread that kind of goes way back. Like, were you the kid
Mhm.
doodling? Were you crafting? Maybe seeing the world a little differently than your friends? Or maybe sometimes it just shows up later in an unexpected way. So I'm curious, like, were you always an artist growing up? How did you kind of get into that artistic side of you?
Yeah, I was like basically out of the womb making cards and drawings and things like that. My mom has an artistic side to her and she would color with me and then I guess she recognized that I was like really really good at it. So
Hmm.
I would make cards and posters and pictures of my family and I was always drawing. So I even though like I always wondered where I would go to college, my parents never had any doubt that I would go to an art school. So I that was really something that they encouraged me and pushed me towards. And yeah, I've just been kind of like luckily living in art life for a long time.
I love that you had parents that encouraged that side of you,
Yes.
and because I hear a lot, and my parents did as well, and I'm very grateful that they were, they always wanted to hang my artwork on the fridge and get me into this
Hmm.
course, this club, but I hear a lot that, not everyone has that supportive environment, or, someone wants to go to school for theater or film or art, and, they're maybe discouraged in that way. So I love that you had that environment around you that was like, yes, go do your thing.
Yes.
That's great.
One of the things I love is that, I feel like back in the day, some of like the VOTech schools were not really highlighted the way they are now. And now like VOTech has kind of blown up into this amazing, like there's a communication school and there's a science school and there's an art and theater school. And I am so happy that it happened. I'm a little jealous that I didn't get to
Hmm.
participate in that. But yeah, I actually had an employee here and it broke my heart. She was working with me for a long time. This girl could draw like amazing, like way better than me. She should draw life skill, like everything. And she was studying something to like have a career, not be in art because her parents were kind of like strict and didn't want to support that. And I just
Hmm.
remember like always telling her and trying to encourage like that side of her that you could make a living doing it, especially with like the kind of skills that she had. So yeah, I've seen both sides and I'm definitely a lucky candidate that went the other way, but yeah, it's definitely a great way to make a living if you can do it. Yeah.
Hmm. Because it's something that you love. You genuinely love. It's in your every fiber of your being. It's part of your spirit. Like you said, you came out of the womb making cards. You already had that in
Yep.
you. And so I'm curious, how did that creative side eventually find its way into cookies and baking?
Yeah, so the cookie, so I struggled. In college, I was like, the big fish in the small pond. And then I went to Rhode Island School of Design, which is, one of the best art schools in the country. I was so shocked that I got in. And I was like a good C student there. I was definitely not a big fish there.
Hmm.
And I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I always thought maybe I'd wanted to study fashion. But illustration was what I knew. And when I took my first fashion class, I had like basically a panic attack when I realized how much math was involved in pattern making.
Mm.
And, I just kind of muddled my way through it, but there was no way I was going to be able to really do that. Not without like some creative partner who could make my pattern. So I stuck
Hmm.
with illustration. And I ended up taking like a bookmaking class and a paper making class. And those really kind of started making my drawings better, but it wasn't until I took a photography class that really kind of like brought it all together. So I took a photography class. I can't remember, maybe it was like junior year. And then I started drawing on my photos.
Hmm.
And that was kind of like an open the door type of thing for me, just to be like an illustrator. And so I always have had a job. I like the minute I could get working papers, I was out working. And my first job was in Burlington Coat Factory. I
Hmm.
was I would put the clothes away from the fitting rooms. And I still remember the people I worked with. It was like the most sweetest people ever. My parents would drive me to work and it was great. Um, and so again, like there was always like kind of like that fashion element. I always had like a little bit of like crazy like fashion style. And on the way out of school, I took a Photoshop class. So I'm old. I'm older than most people might think. I'm 53 this year. So when I was leaving college, like email was just starting and the internet was just starting. So that's what makes me sound
Hmm.
so old. Um, but I'm young at heart. Anyway, I forced myself to take a this Photoshop. It was a Photoshop cork class.
Hmm.
And even I knew nothing about it, but I was like, I have this RISD education, I have this illustration, but still, like, what am I going to do? Like, I just really was always a lot more business forward than like at the time. RISD was still so artsy, and they were still like, the painters were the top and the ceramic artists, and I was like, how am I going to make a living doing that? So
Hmm.
I was really happy that I ended up taking that class, and I learned cork very, very well. And about once I graduated, I got a job waiting tables, which was like I always say was my master's in education because that is really what got me into food. I
Hmm.
loved waiting tables. I loved working in restaurants. And all the time I was like kind of interviewing for a job. So my first job was in the art department at Ralph Lauren.
Hmm.
And I was doing a combination of things. I was doing these like cork boards that the buyers would use to sell. And then I was, excuse me, also doing some fashion illustration for the sweaters department. They liked
Okay.
quirky little drawings, and that was really my style. I was never really, and still am not a very realistic drawing artist. But yeah, that was kind of my entry level job, which was a pretty cool job. I was at 650 Madison in New York, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. It was incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're probably growing up like obsessed with those types of places and visuals and like making, having those dreams about working in that space and that environment, and then you're there. That's
I
so
still
cool.
always loved fashion, so it was like kind of
Hmm.
a really cool way that like came together. And I did have like I had a aunt who was working in fashion at the time. She was working at Donna Karan, and she gave my name to a couple people, and then all of a sudden, I was interviewing at Ralph, which was amazing.
That's so cool. And I have to ask you, so then how real is The Devil Wears Prada?
So yes, I think the Devil Wears Prada is really real. And I so since I wasn't in women's design, I feel like women's
Hmm.
design is a little bit more cutthroat than the men's, and especially at
Yeah.
Ralph, like men's is super like, I mean, it's of course everything gets intense, but they're not like where I was working was more like sportswear and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And it wasn't like that kind of intensity. But I did meet my husband at Ralph Lauren, and our
Oh,
favorite
okay.
movie to watch together, other than Jaws, which is his, is Devil Wears Prada. It's a
Amazing.
perfect movie. And I just think it's a perfect movie for working for like any mogul like that. So
Hmm.
I'll just leave
Hmm.
that right there.
I love it. And sidebar, good pick for your husband too. That's my number one favorite movie is Jaws. I grew up with Jaws,
He's
so I love that.
obsessed.
But it's so good. It's so good.
Yes.
I have Quint right here.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. I'm sure he has all of those characters. He has more his like main thing though is the shark. So his like
Hmm.
the shark is like his main art from it. So
Got
yeah,
it.
he's
Got it.
obsessed. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, no, thank you for validating my thoughts that I figured Devil Wears Prada was pretty freaking real because
Yeah.
I worked for a Miranda Priestley back in the day in a different career life, not fashion related, but when I saw that movie for the first time, I had like some PTSD happening because
I
it was a
actually
little
wish it
too
had come
real.
out sooner. I like watching it after college is kind of a good education to kind of be like, oh, okay. Like I could do this, you know? I mean, it
Hmm.
really is. It's not just in fashion. It's, I would say, dealing with many moguls, and I've worked for chefs who are like a nightmare. And
Hmm.
yeah, so I think that's a great lesson for anybody, actually.
It
And
is.
I'm
It
excited
is.
for the
And
second one
I
coming out soon.
know.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that. And so you just mentioned you talked about like your sketching style, and you have like kind of this quirky way, and that leads me into something else I was going to ask, which is when I look at your work, when I look at your cookies, like it feels so intentional and detailed, but it's also extremely magical. It's whimsical, and so I couldn't tell if there's like a whole plan happening behind the scenes, or if you're just in the zone, creating in the moment, and so. I was curious, do you sketch things out or you go straight into royal icing and just see what happens?
It depends on the shape, but most of the time I could just like go to royal icing. But back in the day, I used to sketch a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I
You're just
also
freehanding.
Yeah, and I also so
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole thing about copying, and I need to do like a post or several posts on it because I really
Mm-hmm.
don't copy other people's work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to be inspired by it, but like first of all, I'm one of the OGs of cookies. Like I was one of the
Yeah.
first people doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But second of all, like as an artist, it's just not fun to copy people's work, like especially if you have
Yeah.
to do it 50 times. So that's also why like don't do logo cookies. Graduation
Mm-hmm.
time is coming. Everyone's starting to email me about their school logos and all this stuff. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like for me to do this art and continue to love it, I can't be copying people's logos. It's just like not fun. So,
Mm-hmm.
back to your question though, a lot of times I do sketch it out or I just have like the vision of like what the shape is. It
Mm-hmm.
Cookie icing has affected my drawing in a weird way where I like kind of see big blobs of shapes
Mm-hmm.
before like how I would know how to do it. So I am able to go off the cuff. But for something like I have an assignment this week for like a Godzilla cookie, which is so funny. And so of course I'm not going to copy Godzilla exactly. Like I'm not that kind of
Mm-hmm.
artist, but I will probably sketch that out. And so what I usually do is I trace the cookie and then kind of like sketch into that a little bit just to
I
see where I'm
see.
going to like add candy and that kind of thing. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
hybrid. I do both. Some of the coolest designs I've done actually came off the cuff, like in a cookie decorating class where
Oh, cool.
um in a workshop. So in our cookie decorating classes, you can't do a cookie that's like 5 layers. And what I mean by
Mm.
layers is like you do a layer, you let it dry, and you keep building on it to build the shape. You really could only do like a maximum of 2 to 3 layers in a class. So sometimes off the cuff, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I have to ice this in one layer. And then like a different design will like come up, which is kind of a cool way to change it up. So.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about like, yeah, dry time and then you're adding like dimension and contrast and all that stuff. I understand what you're saying.
I like to
Um,
do that with layers. Some people
yeah.
outline, but like if I could do it with layers, it kind of just adds some like dimensional elements to it that make the cookie a little bit more interesting.
Mm-hmm. And you must have a bajillion different cookie cutters.
Oh,
How many
thank you
do
for
you
saying
have?
that. A bajillion. And by the way, I still had to order Godzilla because I did not have Godzilla. So yes,
Uh-huh.
I was gonna say this year, like I'm not ordering any more cookie cutters because I
Mm-hmm.
easily have 400 to 500 cookie cutters.
Oh my God.
Some beautiful heirloom copper, like beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then, most people are doing their cookie cutters these days in 3D printing.
Hmm.
And so that's another way. So we have those, and then we have some tin. So I have a huge collection. It's crazy.
And how are those organized? Are they just like
I
lettered
know people
pins
love to
or?
talk about that. Thank you for asking. So they're alphabetical, but we do break out things like baby, flowers, Easter, Christmas, like those. And Christmas is like 5 bins and then
Mm.
recategorized within that. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
mostly alphabetical, but that does pose the problem that specific people could really only file the cookie cutters, because if they're calling a leaf something else, then it's not going to end up where I am going to look for it. So
Right. That's
it's
true.
a
I've
real waste of
seen
time on payroll to have somebody looking for cookie cutters. Like, so we really only have specific people put away cookie cutters now. So,
that's a good point because I've seen sometimes on social media people will buy old cookie cutters at like an estate sale or something and they can't figure out what it's supposed to be. And
yes,
then they post it and they're like, "Okay, mystery cookie cutter, give me your best guesses below." And it's just so interesting. Like you turn it this way, you turn it that way, and then it
it
becomes
totally
clear of
is.
what it is.
One of my most popular cookies that I just actually made last weekend is the rainbow cloud. So it's a cloud with like three or four rainbow stripes coming out of it. That is a cookie cutter I designed to be a shell. So like a conch type
Oh.
of shell. And the cookie cutter company I was working with at the time put it up like you're saying and was like, guess what this is? And
Mm-hmm.
someone said a rainbow cloud, and I was like, immediately saw it in the shape. So I
Got
actually
it.
make it as a rainbow cloud more often than as the shell, but I do use it for both. So,
That's cool. It's like a kind of a, yeah, you're able to repurpose these things that you
yes.
have.
And many
Um,
people do that with cookie cutters now. Yeah. It's cool.
yeah.
It's cool to see what people come up with.
Yeah. And you just mentioned Godzilla. I was going to ask, what's one of the strangest custom cookie requests you've gotten or something where you were just
Um,
like, how the hell am I going to make this happen?
Let's see. I think probably one of like the most challenging ones was I have some friends who live here in Asbury Park who wanted an exact replica of their house.
Oh,
And like
wow.
it's not necessarily my style, but I didn't want to say no. And I made the cookie cutter really big and topped a cake with it. And I
Oh,
think like
wow.
that cookie probably took me like 3 days to ice.
Oh my
I did
God.
two of them. The rulers were out, and it ended up being like a really beautiful cookie. And they have a beautiful home, so I was happy to do it. But it was luckily they also had a couple of signature things like going on in their house. Like I believe they have like a yellow door, so they have some things where like
Hmm.
you could identify even if it's not exact like what it is. So. I do
Wow.
that a lot with because I actually work with realtors. I have a friend
Hmm.
who's a realtor who gets cookies from me a lot, and she'll show me a picture of the house, and I'll just pick out the identifying features so I don't have to
Hmm.
like make that cookie cutter every single time. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like close enough where they know it's that house
Right.
without you
Like the
having
one
to
we just
make
did was
every
like
single.
like she showed me the color and it was like such a pretty blue. I was like, it's not something you see every day. So it was perfect. I had the perfect cookie for it. So
That's such a unique, what a nice like, housewarming or home buying, type gift for someone. So custom.
it is so
Love
sweet that
that.
she does that. Yeah, I so
Yeah.
appreciate her. I've been working with her for for years. Meg Carroll, she's the best.
Oh, I know Meg.
Do
Oh,
you?
shout
Oh,
out
she's
Meg.
so
Yes.
sweet. Yes.
She is sweet. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So you've had this long career. You've had so many cool chapters, Martha Stewart, Macy's Culinary Council. I know you've talked about all of that stuff before on other podcasts, so I don't want you, have to have you go through the whole thing, but I just find it so interesting when someone like has experience in these big high level environments and Ralph Lauren like you mentioned before, and then eventually you kind of choose to build something totally on your own and go off on a different path. And so I'm just wondering like what was that like to go from those types of environments and then make you want to go all in on your own thing. And I'd love a Martha Stewart story. I mean, come on.
Oh, Martha's the best. I love Martha. I mean, it's like Martha is the most
She is the
popular
best.
question, the most popular, what was it like to work with her? It was the job of a lifetime. It was amazing to work with her and for her. And I did work with her like quite on like a close basis. I was like on her like, prop stylist team that would like go to her house. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I think that, a lot of I couldn't say that I wasn't inspired by her. I was inspired by Martha doing what she does and making it like spreading so much joy with like basically just who she is and what she does. But
Hmm.
I really did always want to work for myself. I always have that entrepreneur spirit. I
Hmm.
feel like I even took a class a really long time ago, like on being an entrepreneur. When
Mm.
I was still working in corporate, I always like had that fire and wanted to do it. The one thing I wasn't sure about, and I'm still not sure about, is having this window here of the storefront. So,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
I worked in private studios for a really long time and I loved it. I really did. Having a store and a retail business is very, very different. So, when people tell me that they're going to do that, I really always tell them to think twice and three times about it
Hmm.
because it's a very, very different animal than just kind of being a studio like baker or artist, which a lot of cake artists are. So,
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
yeah.
And I had my next question was going to be about some of the stuff that you and I have been talking about with business shifting and things like
Yeah.
that. So I'm going to get to that in a second. But before we move on, I watched Martha's documentary. It was awesome. I was very inspired by her. I didn't know a lot of that backstory. And I think it's very cool that you spent time there as the resident, what was it called? Cookie expert in
She started to
residence? What was
refer
it?
to me as the resident cookie expert, which was like
Yeah.
so sweet. She would have me on camera. I would do segments like every holiday pretty much. I did like a couple of wedding shows. She ordered a wedding gift for me, like for someone that worked for her for a while. So then like we did that as a segment. She was very,
Hmm.
very cool to me. And she loved the fact that I was using the bottles and really just
Hmm.
loved like my skill with them. So,
Hmm.
we had a great time icing cookies together. And one day she gave me a huge plug on television, and that was honestly how, because it was back in the NBC days,
Hmm.
back when streaming wasn't happening.
Right.
And she told me to look into the camera and tell everybody where they could buy my cookie kit or get my cookies. And I said my
Awesome.
website. And that was, yeah, it was really like a very big gift that she gave me. Very generous of her. So she had those moments with people that she really, businesses and brands that she really loved. And I was like so touched by it. So,
That's awesome. And
yeah.
and we have to talk about the Emmy as well. What was that
Yes.
moment like
Oh
winning
my
an
God, that was
Emmy?
crazy. That was crazy. So I have an Emmy that I accepted along with the entire art department at Martha
Hmm.
Stewart for prop and set styling. I was really mostly a prop stylist, but of
Hmm.
course we worked on the set too. And at the time, gosh, I feel like it was like around 2010. My husband was working in fashion. I believe he was at American Eagle Outfitters, and he was in LA a lot. So the Emmys was coming about, and it was a daytime Emmy, and it was basically like put to our department, that if we wanted to
Hmm.
go, we could go, but we would have to pay for ourselves to go. So my
Hmm.
husband was like, "Well, I mean, I could go see vendors anytime. Why don't we do it? Like, when are we ever going to have the chance to like go to the daytime Emmys again?" So
Hmm.
we went. And of course we were late because like we got stuck in LA traffic and the whole thing. We're like running in, and it's definitely not like what you see like with the Golden Globes or anything like that. The other, it's like the daytime Emmys, and like I was like sitting on a folding chair in the back.
Hmm.
And we ran in, and about like three awards in, they were saying like best art department, and
Hmm.
they called Martha Stewart's name, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I stood, like, my husband's like, that's you. And so I stood up, and I knew that our executive producer was there, and I just walked up to like thinking I would just like stand with him as he accepted the award, and he was like, you're talking. And so his name is Bernie, who's so shy, not shy, but he was just like quiet. He was like a man of few
Hmm.
words. And I don't really remember what I said other than, something about Martha being like the inspiration. And I have zero
Hmm.
idea. I don't know if there's a recording of it, whatever, but I made a decently short speech and like got off the stage, and they handed me that Emmy. And then the coolest thing is like then you have an Emmy and you like go back to your hotel and you're like walking through and everyone's like it was very, very cool.
Yeah.
After that, though, I'm pretty modest about the Emmy. It's in my house. It's like, it's on like a bookshelf.
Hmm.
And, I like our deputy mayor, Amy Quinn, one time was like, you have an Emmy? Why isn't it like here in the shop? And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like not really like that. I mean, I'm so
Hmm.
obviously proud of it, but I'm
Yeah.
not like, I don't like to brag. I'm just,
Hmm.
I'm very proud of it and it's amazing, but Yeah,
Yeah.
Emmy, it's cool.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And yeah, I was just about to say, why isn't it in the front window? But no, I understand. I get it.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I,
just like, I don't know. I have like a humble quality to me.
mhm.
Yeah, that I don't really need to like have it here, you know.
I get it. I get it.
Also,
You
like
got
it
it.
wasn't
It's
just
like,
me. Like it wasn't like Martha won like best host. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
department Emmy.
Sure.
Obviously it was a huge team effort. The department was
Yeah.
incredible. I still talk to practically every person I worked with at Martha Stewart because it was a lightning in a bottle department.
Mm.
It was
Hmm.
the creativity was unreal of the people that were working there. So it was just such an amazing collective. So we were really cool. And we all still keep in touch, which is so nice.
That's really nice. That's really nice when you can do that, and such a powerful collaboration you guys all had together. So I love that.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this in the intro too. Speaking of awards, I got some of your Oscar award cookies for Oscar night the other night,
Yes.
and that was so fun. Nice themed dessert. Thank you for that, and they were
So good.
delicious. Loved how sparkly they were. They looked amazing in the box. And so okay, so now, we've talked about this offline a little bit, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. We had talked about, business shifting.
Hmm.
I've shared about this too. Like, what are the things that I don't want to do anymore? What are the things that light me up that I want to do more of? What do I want to manifest? What do I want to just like reflect on and revisit and maybe like yeah, I don't know, like sunset out or I don't know, just whether it's processes or services or what. But I think I know just because of the comments and feedback and DMs that have been blowing up when I talk about this stuff.
Right.
I think a lot of other business owners, especially right now, are feeling some sort of shift. I was calling it like my in-between era of like figuring things
Hmm.
out.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned it, a little bit earlier, whether it's the economy or just burnout or getting older or, just wanting things to feel different. You had mentioned that you felt things shifting kind of last year and you fought it for a while. And this year, you're embracing it. And so
Yeah.
I would love to hear a little bit about what's changing and like what that has meant or what has that all looked like for you?
Yeah. I think that, so I definitely never like opened this business and said, I'm going to be here for 20 years. Like, I don't really, like, it's not really how I am, but I
Hmm.
mean, I just know that I wasn't really ready to walk away from it. Things were really bad and rough, and people
Hmm.
are not spending money the way they were,
Yep.
especially last year. So last year, it's been a little bit better, um, because I think what happens is like people adapt and they get comfortable with
Yeah.
it, and they realize that also small businesses is something that maybe they should focus on rather than going to, the big box stores and buying a decorated cookie from like, Starbucks. Like,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I mean, when I say I thought it, I was really just like obsessively trying to figure it out at my laptop, like throw up like 20 classes, like,
Hmm.
posting every day on social media, like, really, really trying to push, hang up flyers and it didn't really move the mark enough that it would be worth it. And the way
So relate to this right now.
yeah, and like for me to make five more dollars or sit on the
Hmm.
couch, I'd rather sit on the couch because I never sit on the couch. So I just think that one of the things, it kind of goes back to the Martha inspiration. It was really hard for me to like not try every day to be a mogul, to like make this
Yeah.
bakery turn into crumbs or, turn into like crumble or whatever it is. Like that, it's a very Instagram mentality. And it's also like when you work for a mogul and that's what you see, it's very hard to be like, okay, I'm just gonna have like a micro bakery and it'll be open one day a week. And like, I'm just gonna
Hmm.
be good with that. Like that was really more of like mental gymnastics that I had to do with like my own self. And I actually did it. I'm really happy. Like I tell people now, this is a micro bakery.
Hmm.
This is we're open one day a week. No, I do not ice logo cookies. No, I cannot take your order that's due in 3 days. So, a lot of it is also just like sitting down and seeing like what you're going to focus on and then like
Hmm.
kind of going in that direction. COVID also taught me about being flexible in a way that, I mean, and none of us ever expected COVID. I'll never forget how it came in.
Hmm.
But I ended up making a pivot during COVID that I will probably never see those numbers again. We were making so much money during COVID because people still wanted to celebrate their life. They still wanted to have a birthday cake. We did a weekly menu. People look forward to coming here and picking it up curbside, and we would see our customers and talk to them on the sidewalk and, cry
Hmm.
together and all these things. So that was kind of like a such a sad time, but like kind of a really weirdly unbelievable time for my business. And
Hmm.
I just don't think that was like a weird thing that it's hard to get people back to that.
Hmm.
The pre-order is a tough business, but I can't really do it any other way. So, you
Hmm.
just kind of have to lay it out for yourself and see. Another thing with burnout is I was really feeling burnout like big time. Um, and stepping back a little bit has helped that for sure.
I love that you listened to yourself. Like you asked yourself stuff, you thought about it, you listened to really what you wanted and needed, and then you shifted your business accordingly and you put up some boundaries and you made made the business fit you instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. Like I'm always trying to teach my students and my clients about doing business your way and all of the ways that that can mean, whether that's you know, days that you're open, whether it's I have a storefront, I don't have a storefront, it's I offer this services or these services only, or whatever it is, like you set the rules. You're the owner, you set the rules, and that's it. And your customers will adapt.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
hard.
hear
It's hard to say like no to like, the person
yeah.
that walks in and wants like 3 dozen cupcakes. But the truth is like we
Hmm.
don't do cupcakes. So I'm not gonna like
Right.
start doing cupcakes just because that person wanted that. That's the me
Hmm.
now, but like back in the day, we would figure out how to do those cupcakes. So like it's just and I do have to credit my husband too. He was the person who said to me, maybe you should stop trying to run it like a mogul. And that really like kind of like I sat with that and thought about it. And it's
Hmm.
true. Like it's that when that's all you see, it's hard to like not want to do that. So yeah.
Yeah. And I totally related to when you were saying or like what you just said, okay, we'll find a way to make these cupcakes or earlier you're talking about, okay, I'm putting up 30 classes today, like whatever. Um that's like how that happens to me sometimes where I'm like, okay, flash sale, let me do these digital products, on a super deep discount or let me sell, a one-on-one session, super deep discount. I need to make some money this week. Or kind of like to your cupcake order example, someone will contact me and say like, well, I just need this, or, I kind of need help with this. And it's something where I could figure it out. I know how to do it. I could put a price on it, but it's not really what I do. And
Right.
it's not something that I'm excited to do, but like I need to make money, so I should do it. All of these kinds of questions that are coming up. And that's part of that in between era I was talking about earlier, where I'm
Yeah.
figuring out like what are my lines, like what are the things that I truly want to offer and do and what I'm really passionate about. And so in those shifts that you've been making and you're figuring out how to step back a little bit and sit on the couch when you want to, which I love. What are you making more space for? Like what are the things that you really enjoy, whether it's work related or not, that just kind of light you up and you get to do more of now?
Yeah, well so I mean travel is just what I want to do like all
Mm.
the time.
Hmm.
The only thing preventing me from doing like the most travel is like that I don't want to leave my dog behind. So we're gonna try to figure out how to get him on a plane.
Hmm.
Um, but one thing that I did this year, I like living in this community of art and only being considered a cookie artist only like started to like annoy me. It
Mm.
like I was like, wait, I'm an artist too. But
Hmm.
like I like drawing on cookies really kind of like messed with like the way I draw. So I this year got myself a sketchbook and I have been, I was like staring at it for a while. And then we went on a trip and we went into an antique bookstore. It was actually, yeah, it was all antique bookstore. And I ended up buying a couple of old books that I did a project with them that I had done like right after college, which was it's like an altered book. So
Hmm.
basically you just buy this book and you gesso the pages and you just kind of use that as your sketchbook. And I remember like because like for some reason like I was having these blank sketchbooks and it wasn't inspiring me to like draw on, but there's something about that paper specifically that I like think about that I like want to draw on. So I
Hmm.
started doing that and I had like my book ready to go and then Renee Good was killed. And I
Mm.
was just so insane about it. And so I
Hmm.
started sketching about it. I just started like writing about it. And all of a sudden, like I was on like page, on like this, my sixth like drawing about like activism or just quotes or, just kind of like saving something from that day and like, you know, decoupaging it onto the paper. So this is something that I really am so happy I've stuck with because I really want to get back to other forms of drawing. Whether I do something with it or not, it's just a meditation for me.
Hmm.
I highly encourage journaling though, even if you aren't an artist, like journaling at this time, it sounds so cheesy to say like gratitude journal, but there's other ways you could do it that like I think about like, how much time I'm going to have to work like in my sketchbook each day. And it's really, really been an amazing outlet for me. So,
Well, you're also prioritizing making time to do it. Like
right.
I think a lot of times, we have our hobbies, we have our things that we love to do, and it's like, oh, rainy day, oh, when I think of it, whenever, whatever. And you're like, no, I am doing this every day, whether it's 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it is. And then you're working on it every day. You're enjoying it every day.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good lesson too for all of us is like you will have the time if you make the time.
Yes.
If it's a priority, you're going to figure out a way. And if it's not a priority, you're going to figure out an excuse. Like,
Totally. And that
um,
was honestly how I started the business too, because I was working in fashion for a long time, teaching myself how to do cookies. And then I got to Martha. I was still doing cookies at that time, but it was always a side hustle. And then
mhm.
when she gave me that plug, it became my full-time hustle, but it was a side hustle for years and years. And I would have never opened this store if I didn't have that background because I knew like how much I needed to make to pay the rent. I knew that I could
Mhm.
do it with XYZ orders and this many classes. And so it was really just like, who knows? Like sometimes your creative side hustle could become your full-time thing. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely a product of that. So
And even though you didn't like math when it came to pattern making, you still have to do math now.
I do. I do the
Other types of
minimum.
math.
I do the minimum math though.
Yeah.
I hate that part of the business. I
Me
actually
too.
was saying to like a friend who was like a coach, I was like, I wish I could just do this as like a nonprofit. It makes
Mm.
people happy. I love it. It gives joy. It gives me joy. It gives them joy. And the person was
Hmm.
like, why would you not want to get paid for it? Like, so it was just like the brain that cannot even relate to that. And I thought that was like so interesting. Like, I am so not
Hmm.
that kind of brain. I wish that I could do this for free if and I would
Hmm.
happily do it. So,
Well, that's how you know you're doing your calling. Like if you
yeah.
would do it for free, you
Yeah.
know? So I so respect that.
Yeah.
And you when I look at your content and your marketing, like you show up as a full human, like it's not just a business. And you were just mentioning Renee Good, and I know that this isn't always the easiest thing for people,
Mhm.
especially as business owners. There can
Yeah.
be a lot of pressure to stay neutral or, not rock the boat. But you've been very clear about what you stand for, especially with your activism, your involvement with things like the Women's March, here in Asbury Park. The whole front door of your business has all kinds of posters and quotes,
Yeah.
and so I love it. And I just wonder what made it feel important for you to kind of step into that and use your voice in that way. And was it ever scary to do that?
Yeah, I think that like it was just like when we decided to do the Women's March here, like the way it like spiraled into what it became was just so representative of like how I became that person. Like I don't
Mm.
really remember. So I do remember not caring about politics, and I just
Hmm.
can't believe that I'm like this person now. And I feel like so
Hmm.
many people say that,
Hmm.
just considering what's going on. But yeah, when we did the Women's March, it was I remember watching, I think it was Barack Obama's exit speech, and he was talking about, you know, don't just say you're going to do something, go do something. And I texted my friends and I was like, maybe we should just like do a small march here with like, because I couldn't go to Washington. I didn't want to go to New York. And they were like, good idea. And like, we thought it would be like 500 people. And then all of a sudden I was like in Amy Quinn's office talking to the Homeland Security about like what they were doing to like set up for this march. It became really real in like 5 days.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like that was such a jumping off point for me. And I think I even like did a post about this. As far as like I used to listen to Donald Trump on Howard Stern. So like I am
Hmm.
not like such a crazy feminist that I couldn't like
Hmm.
listen to Howard Stern. I take it with a grain of salt. I laugh, blah, 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 blah. But putting somebody in office who is looking into the camera and telling people that he sexually assaulted women and they liked it, or you could just grab them, that
Hmm.
for me was just, that was it. I
Hmm.
could not. I was insulted that people in my family voted
Hmm.
for him after he said that. And it's like Trump being Trump. No, that's who he is. Believe
Yeah.
him. And not a lot of people did, but here we are.
Right.
So, I believed him when he said that he does that. And I believe that he is who he is. And I always
Hmm.
did. And so, it was part of me, my feelings being hurt, and also my feelings being hurt for all other sisters, daughters, and women. Um,
Hmm.
who were in that position. So it's really, it's funny because I was raised by two Republicans and we always had like, our hearty discussions around, politics. But this was just like another level for me that
Yeah.
I saw the danger coming. Let's put it that way. And I still
Mm-hmm.
feel very alarmed by the fact that we are here again. So,
Yes. Same. Me too.
yeah. So I couldn't
And
not say anything is the
yeah.
answer, really.
Hmm.
But yeah, a
And
lot of people told me that I should not be doing it. But yeah. I
well,
don't
that
tell.
that was my next question is like, for other business owners out there who do feel that pull, like just
Yeah.
in them as they themselves, they don't want to stay silent. Maybe they're not sure what to say or how to say it, but they're feeling nervous to quote unquote put it out there, to go there. What would you say to someone like that who's kind of feeling like I want to speak up, but I'm scared. I'm afraid.
I think like if there are certain topics like like maybe you're anti-war, maybe you're just that's it. You could say that you're anti-war and you could talk all about that and why without necessarily calling out Donald Trump. You could say
Hmm.
that you're against sexual assault, which everybody should be, without calling
Right.
out Donald Trump. I mean, you really could. You could kind of lay out what your beliefs are um, without specifically calling it out. I think a lot of people are doing that now. I think that he is
They are,
really,
yeah.
it's just really to the point where it's just so much more bonkers than I think anyone thought it was ever going to be. That a lot of people are coming forward and kind of saying what they thought. I mean, I had a customer who was just like coming at me, and she was very, very mad and very, very upset. And at the end of the day, like she was just not my customer. Like
Right.
I felt bad, but then I was also like, you have a daughter, like I don't know, like just
Mm,
maybe if you were listening what I was saying, but there's just a degree of just like something going on with Donald Trump that people just can't break out of it. It's almost like they're hypnotized. So
yeah. Yeah.
even if
And
you're
I
saying
also,
something personal like that hurts my feelings because of XYZ, they
hmm.
still can't get past it. Like they just throw out things like, Bill Clinton or like whatever it is. Like, no,
Hmm.
like this is the situation we're in now, like,
Right. The whataboutism happening.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
I think too, like something that, I've tried to, explain to those folks too, who are maybe feeling like, I don't want to offend people. I don't want to, turn people off, whatever. My point of view, and this is before, even Donald Trump was president, but, has having nothing to do with that. Just in general, my point of view is that when you are specific with your marketing and your messaging and you're trying to speak to specifically that one person that is your ideal client that aligns with your values, aligns with, the things that you believe and like and say and all that stuff. Like the more that you can speak directly to that person, the more authentic your content becomes and the more in my opinion, the more people find you. And it
Hmm.
kind of not only does it attract, like your marketing and your messaging attracts the people that you want to work with and that you're excited about, but it also repels the people who are not your people.
Right.
And that's okay. It's okay to
It
repel
is.
people. It's okay. And that's a very hard thing for, I think, business owners to accept. It's like, they want to be for everybody. But if everything's bold, nothing is bold. So you can't
Right.
have it
Yes.
both ways.
Yeah, I
Um,
think like having a manifesto is something like a company like motto and manifesto. I remember when I was working at Martha, so we were in the TV studio down the street, but we would go up to the corporate building and there was basically who we are as like Martha Stewart on the walls of the Clara story. And one of the ones I always took a picture of was when you're through changing, you're through. It's one of my like favorite quotes that Martha always said. So
hmm.
I feel like the posters on my door are a little bit of like my company, like manifesto for like right
Yeah.
now. But ultimately, like my motto is life is sweet, spread the love. So I mean, that's
Hmm.
really ultimately what I'm about. So I feel like, even if you voted for Donald Trump, but you still like my cookie art, like ultimately that's my message. And we don't have to talk about politics,
Hmm.
but I'm
Hmm.
not really going after like MAGA people. It's just
Hmm.
it's not my thing. And I
Hmm.
agree. It's very similar to like I don't make cupcakes. Like
It is.
it's kind of related. So,
It totally is.
yeah.
And, I also think, first of all, I love Asbury Park so much.
Yeah,
I grew up,
it's
not
the best.
far, and now I live, super close to it. And, the music history, the creativity, the diversity of the people, a little bit of grit, so much personality. Like I just feel like it's a place where everyone can just fully be themselves. And
Mhm.
I'm wondering, like, how does Asbury Park tie into your business? Like, what does it mean to you, and how has it maybe kind of shaped the vibe of your studio a little bit, or the community aspect of it? Has it like influenced your creativity or your business in specific ways?
It has. I mean, I coming out of private studios, I really never thought about owning a storefront. But
Hmm.
so my husband is from Seabright, and we were living up in Weehawken, New Jersey, working in the city. And
Hmm.
then right after Sandy, we ended up buying a house down here because he really wanted to get back to the area. And it was our weekend house. And then all of a sudden it was our 4 or 5 day a week house. And it just started becoming like we really like loved the area. And what I was particularly just entranced by was like the restaurant scene. So I just
Hmm.
thought that the food here is so good and the restaurant owners are so cool. And I just really kind of wanted to be a part of like the foodie scene here. So yeah, when I found this place, it was actually my husband knew Barbara from Patrie from back in the day. I believe they worked at American Eagle together, which is crazy.
Mm.
The fashion world is like this big.
Right.
Um, and so he introduced me to her and like she knew the landlord here and the landlord was wanting to open like a store of like a row of artists, which was like so cool of him. And so that was kind of how I ended up here. And I was definitely hesitant on the window, and I still am. It's like being in a fishbowl a little bit, because I
Mm.
don't really run it as a retail shop. But at the same time, I feel like we really have embraced this Bangs Ave and this area. And, I love it. I love Asbury Park. It's changing and growing a little
Hmm.
bit now. There's a lot of new architecture. I really am hoping that they don't keep putting up big giant buildings. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's really just nothing like being able to go up to the beach whenever you want, walking on the boards and just like the whole vibe. It's very, very cool place to be. So yeah.
Yeah. It is, and I'm with you on the new architecture. It pisses me off actually, a
Yeah,
lot.
it's
And
a bummer.
I, I really hope that, more preservation happens ASAP with some of those landmark buildings, especially.
Definitely.
Um, but I'm with you. I love just exploring Asbury shops, restaurants, coffee places, picture spots, whatever.
Yes.
And because you are a foodie, what are some of your favorite spots in Asbury where you love to go grab lunch or drink or
Yeah.
whatever?
Oh my gosh, I have so many. I would say right up the street from us is Pascal and Sabine. That's like
Oh
my
yeah.
favorite like date night.
Yep.
I also love Tallulah's, delicious
Mm-hmm.
for lunch or dinner. Um, let's see where else. I love Porta.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God,
And I
Porta has this
Portis.
amazing octopus thing that I've
Yes.
had like so many times, and it's so good every
It
time.
that is an epic dish. And honestly, that dish is like one of their dishes that they've had forever since they opened. I
So
remember
good.
when Porta was just opening and they had like lawn chairs on the side and they didn't even have food yet, but they
Yep.
so brilliantly just opened and had the park open and we would go and have like drinks there and like hang out and then they opened. One thing about Porta that I think that sometimes people miss is how good their pasta is. Their pasta is
Hmm.
exceptional. So delicious.
I don't think I've ever had their pasta
Oh my
actually.
gosh, it's so you must go back and have
I have to,
pasta. It's
yes.
so
Yeah.
good. All of their
Hmm.
pastas are delicious.
Hmm.
And then I would say my one other place that I love is Taka. Consistent,
Yeah.
amazing, fresh sushi. It's always delicious. I love eating at the bar there.
Hmm.
So yeah, and hope we have a couple other places hoping to open and always love to see new restaurants. I was sad to see Stella Marina close.
Yeah.
Things are changing
Hmm.
over a little bit, but I feel that myself too. And I think it's part of one of the reasons why I've been like a little bit eh, like okay, like let's see like what happens with this because I feel like there is a new guard coming in and
Hmm.
I don't mind being the old guard, but I'm so interested in seeing like what those people are going to be doing. We have the new coffee shop next door, Gold Rush.
Hmm.
And man, they work so hard. They are in there at 7 a.m. And they have like one day a week off. And that is just something personally that I just could not do anymore.
Hmm.
It's just not where who what I want to do. And honestly, I never was working like those kind of hours. So I see them going for it and I think it's like so cool. And they welcome me to sell my cookies in there, which is awesome. So yeah, I feel like there's like some new places popping up and I'm curious to see like where the new people like take us.
Hmm. Yeah, I always like seeing like what you're saying, like new businesses, new energy, new ideas. And sometimes like the neighborhood changes are good when
Hmm.
something good comes in or
Yeah.
something creative and new and exciting. And I love too that you're open to the idea of collaboration like that with a
Yes.
business, like kind of, I've talked about that before with, if there's a business that slightly aligns with yours, maybe there's opportunities for some crossover in your audience and maybe you guys could trade social posts, trade space in each other's email lists, whatever to kind of um, you know, encourage that collaboration. So I love that you have your goodies over there for the
Yes.
coffee folks.
Yeah, and especially with
Um,
decorated cookies, it's easy for me because not a lot of people do them. So it's like
yeah.
I could collaborate with a lot of people on that because like I'm the only like crazy person sitting here taking the time to ice decorated cookies.
Well,
So,
I love how you show that. You show your work so well on your Instagram reels that you put together and show the process and show what goes in to every little cookie. Like it's such a process and it's a true
yes.
art piece. And I want to ask you as we wrap up here, I see your character on your sweatshirt and I
Hmm.
see the sweatshirts
Yes.
behind you. I have a sticker of yours right here with the same
Yes,
character
yes.
on it.
Yes.
How did this little heart with eyeballs and the eyeballs in particular become part of the personality of your brand? Tell me a little bit about that.
It was like completely organic the way it happened. My original logo was kind of like a watercolory heart that I think I drew like sometime like maybe at our wedding. It was like some sketch that I just pulled up. But yeah, the googly eyes. So there's icing googly eyes that you could buy. And
Hmm.
so I'll just back up a little bit. When I was making cookies for Martha, there's like no googly eyes on them, right? It's like a more
Hmm.
sophisticated, beautiful look. But then when I started like off on my own, I'm a huge fan of the Muppets. Like Cookie
Hmm.
Monster is my favorite. When I went to the Emmys and I was on like the carpet after, I actually met Elmo, and I remember meeting no one else. Like I was like I was surprised I held it together. So, I have a picture of Jim Henson here. So huge fan of googly eyes. And so I was buying these icing googly eyes and using them on cookies, and it was getting all of this attention. I make this specific monster that's a hug monster that's like an original character of mine. And it just kind of evolved from there. It evolved from like an owl cookie using the fondant circles, and then before I knew it, I had this logo. It's just so me, and it's just so like it the whole idea is that we're spreading love with what we do here, and you can't really look at this logo and be sad or not know that. So that's the whole point behind
Exactly.
it. Yes.
I love it. And can I just say, you are speaking my nephew's language right now because Cookie Monster is his hero.
Oh my
He's
God.
2.5. He loves
Yes.
everything Cookie and everything Cookie Monster.
The best.
He was Cookie Monster for Halloween this past year.
Oh, how
Um,
cute.
and I have to tell you this story since you just mentioned Jim Henson. So these right here, these googly eyes on my
Yeah.
desk, I won a puppeteering workshop experience at Sesame Place, or no, not
Oh,
Sesame Place. What am I saying? Sesame Workshop, and in the city, and I got to meet the Count and Telly
oh,
and the guys that play Kermit and Big Bird and a bunch of other people. I didn't know their whole bio until after I left, but
right.
the second I stepped into that building, I was like tearing up.
Yes.
And I am just so endlessly inspired by Jim Henson, whole suite of companies, his whole suite of characters. And I think
Yep.
it just goes back to growing up with all of them and like that
Yes.
sense of play and wonder and like engagement and all of that. So at that puppeteering workshop, they gave us all these peepers to try. And
Oh my
like that
gosh.
was the first thing that Muppeteers are taught is how to learn, with the eyeballs first and following a camera and all that stuff. So
Oh, that's so
love that.
cool.
And
I
I
want to
love
do
that
that.
that
That sounds
was
amazing.
oh my God, it was so much fun. I won it because I do an end of year fundraiser every year and I chose Sesame Workshop this one year. And somehow I was one of the top like fundraisers of this thing and I didn't even know there was a prize. They emailed me. So anyway, it made my
That's
life.
so
It
cool.
was the best. So I love when people reference the Muppets,
Yes.
Sesame Street, all that kind of stuff because it just shows what I feel too, which is that it just continues to inspire you, into adulthood and
Oh,
it's for
absolutely.
everybody. So I love that.
We had back on the Martha show, we had, the Muppets would come on every now and then. Cookie Monster unfortunately never came on, but Big Bird came on, and it was the
Oh
um
my
the
God.
older man who was operating him. He has since passed.
Right.
But he was the operator of Big Bird that day. And I was just like,
Oh.
well, I mean, it was just so touching, like their love for this costume and how they take care
Hmm.
of it and hold themselves. And it was
Hmm.
just, I mean, literally, like every person came across the street to like see this. It's just,
Hmm.
it wasn't just, a few people. It was everybody wanted to see Big Bird in person. So it was
Of
pretty
course.
incredible.
I
Yeah.
think his name was Carol Spinney, right? I think that
Yes.
was him.
Yes, that was him.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh my
absolutely.
God. So cool.
Amazing. It was so
Um,
cool.
well, I love this is such an awesome conversation and I've learned so much more about you and what you do and what lights you up and your background and how you bring your spirit and your creativity through everything that you do, even as you're figuring out what you
Yep.
want for your business and how it's evolving. And that was another thing that like just to mention quickly too is that as I'm going through this like in between era thing, I had to take a minute to realize that like we're not meant to be the same person we were years ago when we opened our business, and our business
Mhm.
isn't necessarily meant to be the same either. And that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to, just have these shifts happen because that's who we are as people too. And like I believe that you are your brand. Like I try to be my brand, you are absolutely your brand. And so how can it be anything other than changing as we change and like,
Yes.
making room for that. So I love that you're you're honoring that, like you're showing up and doing that very thing. So I've just loved chatting with you today.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
again
love chatting with
so
you too.
much.
Thank you.
So where can people follow you? Where can they take classes, order cookies, all the things?
Yes, so I am at sweetdanib.com. I'm going to be redoing that website. Yes, it's very dated, but that's where our website is. And if you want to place an order, you could just go to the contact page there to email me. I'm most active on social media at Sweet Dani B. I'm at Sweet Dani B on all of social, but mostly active on Instagram. So yeah, that's it. And you can find us here at the shop every Saturday. We're open. Our winter hours right now are 11 to 5. Sorry, 1 to 5. And then in the summer, we'll be opening up those orders and those hours and being here a little bit earlier to get the beach people coming in.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are the places. And also you could sign up for classes also by going to the website, and then that'll click you through to the all events that we are using right now to book our classes. So
Okay, great. And also people can reach out if they want to do a custom class too, right? Or an event or something.
yes, yep, we can do
Okay.
private events. It's like ideal with like 6 people is like a good
Hmm.
number. And we're like at about 6 to 10 people right now. And then we're going to be trying to add like another bench here. So hopefully that'll be happening before the summer. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I
Cool.
also do classes at other places too. So if you have like a restaurant or you have like a place with a private room, I'm more than happy to come and do a class at your business too.
Awesome. Great. So I'm going to put all of Danny's links in the show notes as well so folks can grab from there. But thank you again so much. This was so, so sweet.
Yes.
And thank you for my sticker.
Yes.
And
Love chatting with you. And
yeah, this
I'm
was a
very excited
blast.
to see where you end up with your own pivot and
Thank you.
your changing era.
Thank
I
you.
think I
Me
think
too.
the ability to pivot right now is one of the most important qualities as a business person that you can have. So,
Yeah.
wishing you the best and totally feel where you're coming from.
Thank you, Danny. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
same to you. All right.
Thank
I'll
you.
talk with you soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.